Hello, hello. This is Adam Everett Miller with AEtuts.com. And today we're going to be finishing up and doing day 2 or part 2 of the 2-part series on PFhoe. In the first tutorial, I went through basically the interface of PFhoe and then brought the camera match move data basically into After Effects and basically just showed how you can, from the information gathered in PFhoe, recreate the scene in After Effects. Well, today we're going to be doing the same thing but in 3ds Max. We're going to be bringing the scene, that same tracked scene, into 3ds Max. We're going to be creating a 3D logo, exporting it, then bringing it back into After Effects so that basically now you can include something 3D into your scene instead of just a plane or anything simple that you would do in After Effects. I'm gonna get started. All right, so I've included the AEtuts logo in the project file that you can download if you are a Plus member. If you're not, you're gonna have to do a print screen or something. But basically, just you can import whatever logo you want. If you just want to have text, then ignore this part because you can just do that in 3ds Max. But if you do have a specific logo, especially if it's got like images or like drawing or something like that, you want to bring it into Illustrator first and just kind of prepare it for 3ds Max. So with my logo selected, let's go up to Object and we will go down to Live Trace, Make and Expand. Okay, awesome. Now let's right click and ungroup because we don't want, it's basically created objects from all of these things. So let's just get rid of the black here in the E and the A and the outside there. Okay, so we still have the path from the white. It created a black and a white one. We still have this path, but we don't have all the black around it because we don't want, basically we just want those letters. So now that we've done that, let's go File, Save As, and we'll just select, you call it whatever you want, AEtuts logo. Save and replace it, that's fine, and okay, version ZS4, cool. Okay, so now let's go into 3ds Max, and we want to make sure everything's new. No, I don't want to save, sorry. File, new, completely new scene, yes. Let's go File, Import, and bring in that AI logo that we just had. Here we go. After Effects, or I'm sorry, AEtuts logo. And we go to open that up, merge object. No, let's completely replace the scene. Not that there is a scene to replace. Single object, okay. And then we run into this little dilemma. This dialog box ticked me off because I couldn't figure out what the problem was. Line in file exceeds 255 characters. Basically, this is a problem that I ran into that I had to go online and figure out what the heck it meant. And I don't fully understand it, but I basically just found the solution and didn't care to research what caused it. Let's go back into Illustrator and I'll just basically, if you run into that, here's how you solve it. File, Save As. I'm going to go for import this time. Save, yes. Instead of having it be CS4, sometimes 3ds Max can't handle like the newest format, I guess. That's kind of what I gathered. So if you just come down and save it to like Illustrator 3 or an earlier version, click OK. Yes, I realize I might be losing quality because the technology sucks. It's not a big deal. I'll click OK. Look, we still have it. Wonderful. Now we come over here, File, Import, and AEtuts logo for import. Completely replace scene. Heck yeah. Single object. OK. There we go. We got it. Good. All right. So what I'm going to do, okay, so you have your logo, right? And it's there. If you didn't have a logo and you just want to have text like, AEtuts is cool, you can create, let's go into here, create under splines. It's not, if it's default to compound, over here, just make sure you come over here and go to text, type in whatever you want. Adam is cool. All right, and then you can just make it. Now it's going to make it bigger. So let's make it less gargantuan. And there you go. Now we're in the same place and you're just ahead of everybody else. You didn't have to waste your time with the first half of this little tutorial. Okay, but I'm going to delete that because I don't want it. And let's deal with what we're working with here. We have AEtuts logo. We want to go up into the modifier list, and you can go bevel and make it a really pretty 3D text, but I'm just going to be pretty boring and go to extrude. There it is. All right, preset to whatever. If let's see here. I'm going to rotate this so we can actually see what we're looking at. Yeah, make sure that you got this guy selected. Angle snap toggle. What that does is just does it in multiples of 5, so that you're not like sitting there, oh, 1%, 1%, you know, that just gets to be a pain. So it's like nice, solid, there, locks to 90%. Cool. And holding down Alt and the scroll button, you can rotate around. If you don't have a middle scroll button, sorry, I do. So, cool. And this might have been set to 0 when you first applied it, so make sure that the amount over here is set up to whatever you want it to be. Don't get too crazy, otherwise it's like crazy. But you can animate that, and that could be cool too. But do that on your own time. We're working now. Okay. Select it, and cool. We got our 3D text. We can move around in it, and life's awesome. Well, now we need to take that scene that we already tracked and pop it in here. So let's go over into project files, which Plus members have full access to. Might I remind you again. And let's take the 3ds Max camera that we had exported earlier. There's the After Effects one right there, but we want to do the 3ds Max one, and we'll just drop it right in the scene. Sweet. So now we have our scene, except the text is not set correctly. So what we're going to do is just, okay, we see all these points, but that's not really helping us because it's like, what the heck, where's everything? We don't really know. What you want to do is just come up here to View and go to Viewport Background. Okay. Yes, I'm sorry. I was looking for the file elsewhere. Come up here to File, our background source, File, and then you just want to choose the footage that we had. So PFhoe tutorial, project files, and footage, thumbnails, and okay. Lots of folders. Cool. And you want to check everything. I think we're good. Okay, cool. So now you can actually see what we are working with. It's a little annoying because it doesn't play with you. You have to let go, and then it'll tell you, then it'll show you what the background is. But that's okay. We're just placing a text in there, and being that the scene has already been created and the camera is already moving and animating itself, it's not really a big deal. So let's go to the last frame because that's kind of where we want to end, and then we'll go ahead and select our text. We'll rotate it and position it where we want it. Back it up and lift it up in the air a little bit. Text is probably the easiest thing to work with just because it's kind of some instant gratification. You feel like, yeah, that's my name in the air. So cool. Or a logo. And as we can see, it's like stuck against the wall. It's a little too far back. So let's bring it forward and let's bring it down a little bit. And let's make sure that we're good here at the end. Okay. Maybe not that far down. Up a little bit. Okay. And we're good. I will say this really quick. If you want to go and get crazy with it, you can create another floor plane, and then Andrew Kramer's got a pretty sweet tutorial. Go to videocopilot.net and then down to tutorial number 47. It has creating a 3D text in 3ds Max, which is what we're doing. But that'll show you how to create that nice little shadow that you see there. And I'm not really going to get into 3ds Max because I don't know that much about 3ds Max, and that's not what the tutorial's about. It's just, yeah, this is just showing you the basics of it. But you can watch that, implement all those awesome tips you learn, and you will be cooking with real grease. It'll be good. Sweet, so we have that. We're all very, very happy. One other cool thing I will say is this might be the default view that you get. If you come down to the bottom right-hand corner, you can toggle between the two, or you just hit Alt-W, and that does the same thing. But what I was going to say with this scene, what's kind of cool is, let's go to the front view. It's front because I set basically the start point differently. But what it kind of does is it takes all these tracker points, and if you need help kind of positioning where your text is, like, okay, we want it to be hovering in the air, not resting on the ground. So you can kind of see that since all these points are just individual pretty much pixels that were tracked, they're going to line up in some sort of an order. So it's almost kind of recreated the floor and recreated, even though it says it's a front view, it's kind of from the left. It's kind of recreated that back wall and recreated the floor so you can see just when it goes to positioning stuff, kind of a cool little dealio. Not a big deal, but yeah, interesting nonetheless. Okay, so we're here and we have our main scene, and we can just click render and check that out. And that looks fine. I'm not going to get into materials or any of that stuff. We're kind of creating shadows, but we have our basic 3D text moving as the camera would move it. So let's go and let's render it how we would render it. It looks like it disappeared, but that's fine. Okay. So let's go into the render settings, and it's going to bring up a little dialog. And I just clicked the teapot, which rendered one single frame. We don't want to do that. We want to do active time segment, which is 323. It'll do all of them. And let's come down here to, well, you can set up what your scene is, whatever your footage is. I think this was HDTV. This is 1280 by 720. So you would do that. I think it is. Let me double check real quick. Footage, thumbnails, properties. What are the dimensions? Or maybe it will just tell me right down here. I'm sorry. Yeah, 1920 by, okay, never mind. It's not 1220, it's this guy. Okay, so we do that. And then we want to come down here to files, and we want to save it with an alpha channel. So, you know, we would choose wherever we want to save it and call it rendered logo. And then you can export it as an uncompressed AVI or whatever you want to do. But I tend to like to do image sequences. So just make sure there's nothing else in your folder. Otherwise it gets confusing. And I think Andrew Kramer did the RPF in the bullet time thing, but we're going to do PNG for now. PNG, sweet, we have it. We click save, and then you want to come down and make sure that alpha channel is selected. Otherwise, it'll like render black behind all of it, and you have to key it out, and then this would get messy, and it's just better to render with an alpha channel. We click OK, and we can just go ahead and click render, and it'll go through and chug frame by frame. But what I was going to show you really quick, I'm going to bring this back up to single, is that's kind of where we start. We start with text, but this, I mean, we're dealing with some really cool stuff here. I mean, we could have an explosion coming out of the wall. We could have, you know, Godzilla climbing down this drain pipe. We could have whatever. Not Godzilla, King Kong. Godzilla doesn't climb. He blows fire. But the rain coming out of the pipe would help to put him out. And we can do that right down here because that would be an appropriate place to put him. But I was just going to show you really quick. I have a model of a car. I'm going to right click and go hide selection just to get rid of that for the time being. And over in, let me bring this back up again. Okay, project files. One last time, all the project files are included in the Plus tutorial. If you, or in the Plus project files, access to Plus members. Good. I've included in that a car tutorial. I'm not a car tutorial, but a 3D car model, which you have access to, which you can just go File, Import, and under 3D car model, you can, it's a Lamborghini, and who doesn't want a Lamborghini? So I open it. Okay, merge object with current scene. Yes, we don't want to get rid of the scene. And convert units, sure. So I'll hit, no, let's not convert units actually. Well, maybe we should, I don't know. Let's not and see what happens. And then do you want to set the, let's say no. Okay, so now we can see that it is way too big. So we're going to switch our view to this guy up here. And first things first is with everything selected, we want to make sure we group it because this model specifically, like the window is its own section and the tires are its own section and the skeleton of the car. So we just want to make sure that we group everything together because we don't want to be scaling the windows and leaving the poor tires behind. So we'll call this car. We'll actually call this awesome car. And just to clarify. And let's scale it down because it was huge. So scaling. Let's just make it really, okay. And to make this easier for you guys to see, I'll switch to that. Scale. And then being that we conveniently have a rough idea as far as where our wall and our floor is, we can just pop it right down into that. And then we'll switch back over into this view. Still, it is way too large. So let's continue to scale. And then let's go to the end. You know, maybe it wasn't too large. Maybe it was just where my camera was. I'm guessing that's the case. We'll bring it back here, and we will scale it back up. Unless you want a toy car, in which this would be an appropriate size. Okay, this is pretty pretty close to where it would be. Let's scrub to the side view and make sure that our car is not hitting. No, our car's floating in the air right now. So we'll bring that down and we'll bring it over. And then one last time, checking over here. It's a little bit below the ground. Come on, you got it. Where am I here? Sorry, it just got really confusing for a moment. Okay, there we go. We're able to see that we want it to be on the ground right there. And good, I'm pretty well satisfied with that. Let's bring it back and make sure that it's not running into the side of the wall, which it almost is, but it's not quite so good. And forward, oops. And then forward a little bit. Okay, cool, sweet, I'm satisfied. You can save that. Actually, I'll save it right now. And this will be the exact scene. Desktop, scene for plus members. That means you. Oh, I can't do an exclamation point, but that means you. That's in all caps. Plus members, you get this exact file. How cool is this? Sweet, so now that we have that, we'll render it. I think there's some textures that come along with it. Oh, sweet, okay, cool. And they popped up nicely. So it's not a perfect looking car, but it is a model of a car, and it's in this scene. So all you have to do, once you've imported the camera data, is just import the, basically just plop anything in there, and then the camera will move around it, and then it'll actually be resting in that scene, which is awesome. Okay, so doing the same thing, we'll render that out, and now let's go over to After Effects and bring it in. Okay, so here we are in After Effects, and let's go ahead and import our footage. Desktop, PFhoe tutorial, project files, lots of folders, and cool, oops. Okay, we have our footage, and we'll drag it into a new comp, and sweet, very, very nice. And then let's drag in our other thing. That was desktop footage. Okay, we'll import our rendered out animation here. So let's drag and drop it in. And in the first part, we had cut out the wall and the this protection beam of sorts. I'm not sure what you'd call that. I'm sure there's a name, but the yellow bar. But as you can see, now that we've brought it in with the alpha channel, it has the exact same movement as the scene around it. And I mean, basic compositing, but it's just sweet because you can put whatever you want. If you can create it in 3ds Max, all you have to do is drag that scene that you got from PFhoe in, and whatever scene you have, I mean, whatever model you may have, if you're more of a modeler than you are an animator, that's okay, because you can work your butt off to model and rig up an orc or something like that from Lord of the Rings, and then all you do is drag and drop the camera on there, and then whatever that movement was, make sure your beautiful orc is positioned right there in the pavement next to the electric meter, and yeah, you're golden. You have pretty seamless movement. Seamless or pretty congruent movement in the scene. Yeah, that makes me happy. That makes me very happy. And then let's go ahead and try out the Lamborghini as well, because we had rendered that out. And unmat it. We'll drop that in there. And we want to get rid of that temporarily. And there's that. There's the car. So, I mean, look at this. You have a car in the scene. Was there a car before? No, there wasn't. But now there is. And see, when you get on the high-end projects, I just remember I saw some scene from The Matrix where, like, Neo's riding, or maybe it's Trinity, riding the motorcycle in and out of cars. And I was like, how the heck, man? She's, like, getting so close to those cars. How did she do that? I think it was in the second one. But they added the cars later, because once you have this, you have your scene and you have your tracking data, this car could be driving, I mean, whatever you want to do with it, whatever animation this car is doing, it doesn't matter. In that scene, as soon as you drag and drop that camera on there, it's going to basically export the animation in the scene. It's just, you get the principle, you get it. It's just, I'm excited about it because it makes me happy to talk about. Another really cool thing is, just so that you can see this really quick, I mean, it recognizes, the alpha channel recognizes the transparency as well. So I have, I have these letters behind it, but whatever, if you do have transparency in your 3D model, it will shine through, or it'll allow whatever's behind it in the scene to actually go. So I mean, you can create some very, very realistic looking models, and then if they're semi-transparent, it really makes it look like they're part of the scene. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's the principle. I hope you enjoyed this two-part tutorial. Hope it at least opened your eyes. If you're a bored kid with a couple $100, not that there's a lot of those. I know there's lots of bored kids, but very few with money. This would be something that you could probably do some dangerous stuff with. So I challenge you to do so. And one thing, now since I'm the editor here at AETuts, I can let you know, we're probably going to be giving away a license or two for PFhoe in the near future. So make sure you stop back, or just stop in every once in a while and check it out, because at some point here in the near future, I think we might have a contest and give away a license of PFhoe, PFhoe Pro, the good stuff. And then you can free, legally, and happily create car models that will rotate around a warehouse. All right, guys, this is Adam Everett Miller with AETuts. I hope you guys enjoyed yourself, and I will see you next time. Bye.